Now, when you hear the name Kunle Afolayan, what movie just pops into your head? I mean, let's be honest, there's so many to choose from. Whether you want Araro Mire, that's the figurine, or October 1st, or Mokalik, or of course, most recently, Citation. Now, Kunle Afolayan is a Nigerian actor, film producer, and director. He has made several extremely popular titles, including The Figurine, which was in Yoruba and English languages. He also did The CEO, and Mokalik, iPhone Swap. I actually really loved iPhone Swap. Well, his movies are thought-provoking and exciting. Speaking of Citation, it's out in a few hours. It explores the subject of social decadence in the educational sector. This movie is a college drama about a female postgraduate student who has to find a way of dealing with sexual harassment from a lecturer. Sounds familiar? Well, it was shot in Nigeria, Senegal, and Cape Verde. If you haven't seen it, well, here's a movie trailer. Intense, isn't it? Well, here to speak on the release of his latest film, Citation, which is out on Netflix in a few hours, and also Nollywood in the era of COVID-19, is actor and movie producer Kunle Afolayan. Thanks for joining us on the show today. Now, let's begin with this. That trailer has just, gotten a lot of people so excited. There's so many elements to love this movie for by just looking at it. The language diversity, the quality of the film, the cast, and definitely the storyline. So walk us through the process of creating Citation.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to the studio today. Well, Citation is a film, but it's a film that is a bit different from every other films out there. If you're familiar with most of my films, yes, we try to entertain people, but at the same time, we look at issues, topical issues in the society that needs a bit of maybe enlightenment or awareness, and we try to infuse entertainment around the story. Citation is something, it treats a subject that people are quite familiar with in all walks of life, not just in schools, in universities, in banks, in government, in almost every sector. And what we try to deal with in the film is not the fact that these things exist, is the fact that if you find yourself in that situation, what are you going to do? So I was really excited because because we started this journey like 2 years ago. And in the course of, I think it was when we were about starting the principal photography, I saw that BBC did a documentary on sexual harassment in Citadel of Learning. And, I was just like, look, is this a coincidence that, what we've been working on for over a year, BBC is also working on it. So it feels good, to be doing something that minister to people, something that enlighten people. And the caliber of actors we work with, the team that we work with, the partner that came on board, it was a great experience.
Fantastic. Now, this movie is based on sexual and gender-based violence, just like you rightly mentioned, that BBC documentary, spearheaded by Kiki Mordi. It's really opened a lot of people up to the reality of what goes on in a lot of Nigerian universities. Now, do you have any worry that in any way, shape, or form, people might actually allude this film's creation to that documentary? Would you say that documentary inspired the film? Would you have that worry that people might just say, "Oh, wait, they just watched it and decided to create a movie"?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because that is why it's always good to put or to put things out there, for record purpose. Because when we started working on this, I remember when we first when we got Ford Foundation, because Ford was one of our principal partners. When they came on board, I put something out there, and I even put a teaser poster out there. And this was last year. before the documentary came out. And we've been talking about this for over a year, even before the documentary came out. As a matter of fact, I started grooming Temi Otedola, who played lead in the film. I started grooming her 8 months before the film was even shot, even before the final first draft of the script was ready. So I don't think so. Now there are beats in the film that actually treat actual events, something close to what happened in Ife. And that is why when we're going to film, I've been to Obafemi Awolowo University a lot of times, and I think they have one of the best architecture in Africa, if not in the world. And I said to myself, I would love to film this film in Obafemi Awolowo University. But because a similar incident happened there, it was a bit tricky. So I was like, would they agree or would they not agree? At the end of the day, we reached out to them, we discussed it. And the vice chancellor, said, look, we're ready to hone up where we agree that these things happen in all universities, but we are ready to put it out that if it happens here, we're going to deal with it like any other case. So, but I don't think there will be any of such controversy. I doubt it.
That's essential. Now, you mentioned something very significant, shooting this movie at Obafemi Awolowo University, where a similar situation has happened. And like you said, it happens in a lot of Nigerian universities. But here's another factor. Would you say our culture has played a role in enabling sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, and how?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do with culture. A bad person is a bad person. A good person is a good person. As a matter of fact, when you see the film, um, there are beats. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there are beats where you know culture plays significant role, and the girl was really try to withdraw or try to caution the lecturer, putting the age difference gap on the table. But when you see it, you get to know what I'm saying. But I think our culture is really good because we're respectful people. We hold our culture in high esteem. But like I said, a bad person is a bad person.
And a good person is definitely
Is
a
a
good
good
person.
person.
Okay, now moving on from that, let's move away from our culture. Let's look at Nigeria as a whole, the nation we are in. Do you feel like we have a system that can adequately tackle sexual and gender-based violence?
So can you take that again?
Yes, I said you mentioned that a bad person is a bad person and a good person is a good person. So moving away from our culture now, let's look at Nigeria as a nation, our system. Do you think we have one that can tackle sexual and gender-based violence?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Look at what Kiki did, and I think there has been a lot of okay. For example, the issue in Ife, the victim, the lady in question, actually recorded the professor, and the fact that she was smart enough to do that was what actually helped nail, the professor. You know, and there are a lot of people like that. You see, fear, um, and the fact that people don't like to speak up. People don't like to. We're so used to saying, "Oh no, you can't." If people hear that you're raped or you got raped,
That's the culture I was talking about.
you say what?
I'm like, that's the culture I was talking about, the fear of speaking up.
Exactly. Yes, but look, it's in as much as we're not as vocal as a lot of people in the Western world, I think to a large extent the culture has also played a lot of positive roles, in our entire life and in how we are structured. So, like I said, some people are born champion. Some people are meant to cause revolution. Some people are meant to have been born to make changes. And we have people like that all over the world. But I don't think I won't tie it to the entire structure or how the entire nation is set up.
Okay, now I'm excited about the cast. It is so diverse. So working with Temi Otedola, she made her acting debut on this film, and you just said you spent about 8 months grooming her before this movie. Now, very briefly, tell us about working with the cast on Citation.
Now, it was such an amazing experience. As a director, when you have the idea of the film, when you're reading certain images, flashes and, comes to mind. And then when it's time to really shoot, is a completely different ball game. When the idea of citation came, I mean, the student is supposed to be a master student, but someone who finished first degree early, and then, someone who is very intelligent, but also look timid. Someone you put alongside, a grown lecturer, and you can obviously see the age difference and a lot of other things. Look, a lot of people came to mind, but this character will have to speak several languages.
You know what?
Um,
Before you move on to that, I like what you just said. A lot of people came to your mind. I'd like to know some of the people that came to your mind, but we have to take a quick break now. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm Kachi Ofia, and this is still Arise 360. We've still got Kunle Afolayan, movie producer, actor, with us on Arise 360. His movie, Citation, is out in a few hours on Netflix. And before we went on that quick break, you said a couple of names, came to your mind as to who this character, who, by the way, you have described in such a detailed manner, could possibly be. And I would like to know, some names that just flashed through your head as you thought of that character.
Look, it would be very unprofessional of me to mention, colleagues' name whom I would have, worked with. But the thing is, so I'd rather, because beyond work relationship,
Yeah.
some of these people are also friends, and I just feel that everybody has got time.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's very rare to find someone who will speak English, who will speak French, and who will speak another native Nigerian language, and who has the look and also all the other characteristics, And these are things that I found. It's like um, um, first she's got the looks, and then the other advantage, the language advantage and other things. And then I asked her to do a monologue. I'm gonna share that in a couple of days, and I told her what to do, and she did a monologue. And then I haven't even shared the story, the full script with her. It was just I just gave her an idea, and I said, do this, and she did it. And I remember that day I got to the office and I called my team together and I said, we found our lead role, lead actor, for the role. Um, these are things that because film is beyond good looks. Film is beyond you being able to speak a lot of grammar. Film is beyond you being able to just memorize your lines. No, film acting is a combination of all of these elements, and beyond. Above it all is discipline. I realized that she's so disciplined, and this she displayed when we got on set. So, but working with her was a delight. And then the other, like Dr. Mrs. Ibukwa Oshika, for example, who has never acted before. For her to have agreed to be part of that, and for her to have stayed on set throughout, it was quite an experience. Iniedo, Gabriel, Afolayan, Auntie Joke Silva, Yomi Fashion, a lot of them. Then Jimmy Jean Louis, who came all the way from LA, who was featured in a lot of Hollywood films. And then we have two actors from Cote d'Ivoire, who had to speak French. It was quite an experience.
I'm not surprised that you do go all out when you're ready to do your films, Kunle Afolayan. However, COVID-19 hasn't been fair to this movie. As much as it could have been so much more than what we're getting now, how badly would you say the pandemic affected, the release of this movie?
On a scale of 10, I'll say three.
Really?
Three because we were so lucky because we wrapped filming in February. We could go back to Nigeria and COVID started 2 weeks after, and then that from then we went into post production, and for post production you had to like just stay inside and do stuff. But there's an aspect of post production that we normally would do outside of Nigeria. We do it in UK, and it's called color correction and grading. But every other thing we do here. So this year, for the first time, I was not able to travel to go and do the session with a colorist in UK. But we still managed to do it because Zoom came and all those other communication, instant communication video platform, and we managed to pull that off. We possibly would have done cinema release before releasing it on Netflix, but COVID actually was one of the reasons why we had to opt for the Netflix option, because the cinemas are not fully open yet. And even if we had to wait, till this time, I mean, it would have been, it would have been a major risk. So we were badly, I mean, even beyond this film, the company generally got affected. The entire industry got affected, but we still thank God that we're alive and we finished the film.
We did. But I want to know, yeah, a couple of films outside Nigeria, for instance, have struggled to thrive in box office because apart from the fact that not cinemas around the world are not completely fully open, there are very limited people going to see movies right now. And what we've noticed is, for instance, with No Time to Die, there is a financial impact of moving movies forward. And we know that Citation was supposed to come out, I think, sometime in August or April, and then it was moved again. So financially, would you say this also applies within our local box office scheme, or it's not as big of a problem as it is in Hollywood?
No, it does. It majorly affect the box office. I mean, the entire projection has been. I mean, it's going to be affected 80%, if not 90%. Because when you're trying to make a film, you definitely do a projection to say, look, okay, when it's ready, I'm going to do premiere, big premiere, and possibly get sponsors. You're going to do private screening, possibly. Then you're going to do your cinema theatrical release, where you possibly might recoup 40, 50, 60% of your budget before exploring all the other distribution window. But with what we have now, you're only left with just one or two windows, and it's we just hope that this thing will clear very soon, so that all the subsequent productions will get to follow the standard distribution platforms, I mean, which is going to cinema and then exploring all the other distribution platforms. But we're hoping that government will also do something, to help maybe palliative for the creative industry, to help settle, the pain and all the losses.
Interesting. I'm glad you mentioned government helping in some way, palliative that can help the entertainment industry. Now, what we also know is that, there are funds from, the Bank of Industry, Nexim. There's always some entertainment fund available to the entertainment industry. So have we begun capitalizing on these since the pandemic started? Or would you say they haven't been as available within the pandemic?
Well, I know that we were reached out to and we're all asked to fill one form or the other, state level and even federal level. And all these forms were filled, but I haven't heard anything. As a matter of fact, we accessed a loan from the creative industry loan, central bank creative industry loan, through Access Bank last year to start expand our production company. And it was at the time when they disbursed that the creative, like that the COVID thing started. The only consideration that we were notified about is the fact that the interest will be reduced from, I think, 8 or 9% to 5%, and then there will be 1 year moratorium. I think that is good, but I don't think it is good enough, because a loan is a loan. You're still going to have to pay it back, and if your business has been crumbled for a year, a whole year, and you are having to pay the interest, because you start paying the interest on the loan monthly as soon as it's disbursed. So it's really tough. I really wish government could really still do something, because there's so many people in these shoes. Because I know quite a number of people who access this loan, especially those who access to build cinemas, just like we access to build this cultural center slash production company, and we haven't really done anything, since COVID. So yeah.
All right, well, Kunle Afolayan, we're looking forward to this movie, Citation. It's out on Netflix in a few hours, actually, the 6th of November. And everyone is going to be watching, I'm very sure of that. Thank you so much for joining us today on Arise 360. I mean, there's still so much more that we could talk about, but we're definitely going to have you on the show again sometime soon. Thanks for joining us, Kunle Afolayan.